have Cass. Hi.
Hey,
How's it going? I think we spoke yesterday, right?
we did. Yes, we did. And it sparked some newness in me this morning.
Wonderful.
Right? So we talked about how I had personalized God.
Mhm.
And what came to me this morning was just this um, the light of God, which I had thought was basically everything, I'm seeing as probably just a concept of the mind, and
Yes.
that I've been really missing an integral part of myself. And this phrase has been coming to me over and over again this morning, and it's the darkness of God.
hmm
And I was wondering if you could address the darkness of God, which um, feels just like something I absolutely have to explore, why I've missed that whole part of myself, and also that invisible distinction between the light and the dark. Um, I really would appreciate it so much.
I see. So it's a good question. There are two ways we can talk about it, and I think that you will probably relate to both of them. And the first one is that life has a dark side, and I'm not talking about people right now. People have a lot of darkness, which is coming from the ego. That would be another way to talk about it. But I'm just speaking about life. You know, uh, life is pleasurable and joyful, absolutely. But life can also be extraordinarily painful. Uh, Predators eat prey, and sometimes in extraordinary cruel way. It doesn't diminish life because life is basically just an infinite play of energy. So when one animal eats another animal, nothing is lost. And in a way, all life consumes each other. Basically, the only life that gets energy directly from not from consuming other life is plants. They get energy from the sun. All other life consumes each other. So it's an infinite play of energy. And of course, there's pain. And of course, there's struggle. And of course, there's hardship. And everything can happen to you at any moment. And you can suffer horrendous death. But it's all a big interplay of life. So you can call that darkness. But then there is, and in the spiritual process, you make peace with it. Like, right? So like, for example, uh, when I was undergoing the transformation and everything was arising, the fear, the rejection, and everything, I actually quite enjoyed sometimes putting a um, some nature documentary video with absolutely horrific scenes like a hyena eating a unborn baby right out of an alive gazelle, and I would notice what sort of reactions it created in me,
Mhm.
or I would on my walk I would see a dead rat, for example, or a smashed raccoon by a car, and I would stop and I would look at it because we're all gonna die, and I would notice what it arises in me.
Mhm.
So that's one way, right? But it's natural. It's part of life. It's part of creation. And then there's another darkness, which is the ego's darkness. And the ego's darkness is of a different nature. The ego's darkness is basically the accumulation of all our pain and suffering that we endure and aren't allowed to express during the years of conditioning. And so that's why the spiritual journey, as you awaken, oftentimes there's hatred, there's bitterness, there's so much anger and aggression because you've been mistreated. People mistreat each other, and then not only you have been mistreated, but you've been forbidden to even talk about it. You see,
Yeah.
and so this kind of darkness is our darkness, is human darkness, right? So that's why humans are cruel and callous towards each other for no good reason. Animals are cruel and callous towards each other for the reason of survival. Humans are cruel and callous towards each other just for the reason of vanity and trying to establish an imagined superiority. And we enslave each other, which is completely unnatural for an animals like that we are basically for hairless monkeys. And and so this kind of darkness, it exists only in the human mind. It doesn't exist in reality. And there's also the fear of it, the fear to see the ego more and more, but nothing can be let go of before it is seen. So there is a fear of this darkness in us, and and so the first kind of darkness that I mentioned, you can do nothing about it. But the second one, it needs to be explored. And even speaking about the first one, the only thing that protests it all and says, "Oh no, the life should be different. It should be always comfortable, and it shouldn't be dangerous, and animals shouldn't eat each other, and things like that. And I shouldn't die." The only part that protects each other, the only part that is in pain about this reality, is also ego. And we could have it say, and some people said, I don't remember who, but someone said something along the lines that uh, the all the evil in the world comes from the denial of death.
Mm.
And of course he meant, because the language is such an overloaded thing, because usually when we say the world, we mean society. We don't mean the world. It's funny, but in some languages it just manifests in such an obvious ways, like for example, in English you say everyone, in French they say tout le monde, all the world. That's basically what they mean, what their language construct to say everyone. They say the world. Everyone is not the world, it's just every human. you know but oftentimes when we say the world, we mean our world, the human world. So all the evil in the world, all the evil in human society, comes from the denial of death. It's true. It
Yeah.
comes from the denial of reality. So this darkness is something to be explored. So this is your personal inner darkness that can come in an intensified form as rejection of yourself, as rejection of others, as rejection of life, as rejection of reality. It could manifest as fear, it could manifest as tremendous anger, it could manifest as tremendous hatred, it could manifest as bitterness. But all of those are just experiences created by the mind, and they're not as difficult as the mind pictures them to be. So they need to be explored and accepted. This kind of darkness dissolves in love.
Mm.
But the darkness of the first kind, which is that life is dangerous,
Mm.
you know this doesn't dissolve in anything. It just transmutes into the appreciation of the adventure that life is.
And I see that I was specifically talking about the second, the darkness of the ego. After you explain that,
Not about that.
absolutely, it was the darkness of the ego, because I do see more and more that I'm finding just the perfection of life.
Yes,
Period. Like it's a
yes, perfect.
neutrality. But then
Yes,
right, and that there's such a lesson for me in the darkness of the ego, because I've stored. That's where all that physical pain that I was telling you about in the lower extremities, it's
most
it's
likely, yes.
it's carried in there, and I haven't been able to access it other than just in meditation. Now I'm able to just go there and be presence to the best of my
Yes.
ability and
That's
not pop out.
Yes.
I
That's the best
couldn't,
practice.
I
That's the best
couldn't
practice.
hold whatever it is. I wasn't able to just sit with it and not want something from it. Just
Yes. Yes.
right. Just to
That's
be
perfect. And you'll access it more and more. And
okay.
and all the pain and darkness and the rejection and the argument with the of the ego gets dissolved in your infinite self-love, because
Ugh,
that's what life is. You are life, and life is infinite self-love.
yeah. Thank you. One other quick thing I wanted to say was it feels to me that there's such a key, for me anyway, a key factor in seeing through the duality of all things with this distinction I've made between the light and the dark. Like everything, anything I could fathom, I could fit into one of those two categories. So in a way, what's coming to me is like, it all for me at this moment where I am, I'm just like, I've made that distinction in the mind. Anything I could think of, health, disease, oh, that's the light and the dark. You know what I mean? Like I just,
So let me ask you a question. Is that
yeah,
would that be roughly the same as good and bad, or
totally.
pleasant and unpleasant?
That's the distinction I've made unconsciously because
Yes.
oh, well, that's not spiritual to label something bad, but it's happening. It's happening so fast. I notice that so fast it'll happen where I'll see something going on. I'll be like, I won't say anything, but inside I go, oh, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong.
Hmm.
And then I'm like stoic and spiritual. You know what I mean? In the name of good and bad, light and dark. It comes down to some
Yeah, that's
key.
bullshit.
It is, it's total bullshit.
Yes,
I want to transcend, and I'm like, nope, if I don't fully embody this darkness, I'll
that's
just keep
right.
doing the same
Yes,
thing. And
yes,
I'll be
yes,
like,
that's right.
so arrogant
Yes, exactly. Yes, and
in
that's
the
the
name of the
case of
light.
many spiritual people. Yes,
In the crusade for the light,
exactly, exactly.
I'll
And it
be,
usually comes from a place of tremendous arrogance and vanity. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And then I'll be worthless to, like that's just, I'm missing the point. So anyway, thank you so much. Um,
I wanted to make a comment about this distinction
okay, please do.
between light and dark. So life contains both pleasant and unpleasant experiences, and the level of peace and equanimity and joy is basically corresponds to the level of rejection and uh, of unpleasant experiences, internal, and clinging for or trying to grasp the pleasant experiences, right? So in order to grow authentically and become independent from other people, you have to accept both. So when something like that happens, when you, for example, feel like when you evaluate something as light or some outcome that is very desirable for you,
Mm-hmm.
notice how would it feel if it didn't happen. What arises in you if you don't get what you want, or if you if you evaluate something as really bad and you kind of feel that there's rejection in it, right? Explore that experientially. What do you feel? What do you feel? That's the most important question. Not how you feel, why you feel it, but what do you feel? So give it your awareness directly in a very direct manner, right? And because fundamentally, the self-created experiences, our internal reactions, are all empty. What happened happens. It doesn't mean that you have to become passive, right? It doesn't mean that you cannot improve your life or the life of your children or the life of your partner, or try to help other people. It doesn't mean any of that. All that it means is, if there's an internal painful reaction to what happened, or to what is happening, it needs your investigation. It needs your awareness. It needs your love. Yeah, there's a very good way to speak about the ego, is that ego is the argument with life. Ego is the argument with what's happening, an internal argument. And that's where this kind of darkness is coming from. It's an internal argument to what's happening.
Yeah.
Right. And actually, the paradox of enlightenment is that the deeper you investigate it, the more accepting you are of all experiences, the more open you are to everything on an experiential level, not just in the mind, but I'm ready to feel anything. The less of it comes, and the better your decisions become. It doesn't mean that you're always you never make mistakes, right? But you don't punish yourself for them, for example, and consequently, you stop punishing other people for their mistakes. Because
Right.
how you view yourself is how you view others. Those are one and the same.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely,
Really,
it's my pleasure.
really appreciate you. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for coming.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.